Today I'm going to be painting this mountain scene. I love to paint mountains, so this one's going to be cool. This took me about 30 minutes, pretty much exactly 30 minutes, and I'm doing this at 2 times speed, and nothing is cut out other than me doing nothing or leaving the room or whatever. So this one was quite fun. I like to paint mountains and trees and stuff like that, so it's very familiar to me. This is obviously quite fast. 30 minutes. I don't try to nail the accuracy or whatever. I'm just trying to nail the big parts. And you can see you get the sky, you get the big mountain, you get the back trees, a couple of yellow ground, whatever you want to call them, and a bit of a lake. And so I start off by blocking in the big shapes with the color fill tool, trying to get a rough idea of what colors I want, but I can tweak them later. By no means do I find any of these easy. It took 30 minutes, but that's only because it's only got a few major points to it. I generally want to spend an hour on my paintings in this format, but I don't want to overdo it. So if it takes me 30 minutes, I stop at 30 minutes. Sounds kind of obvious, right? But you could overdo it. I could spend 30 minutes extra doing pointless stuff and making it worse. Generally, if I get a good feeling that it's finished, then it's a good time to stop. I'm still blocking in. The blocking in is the most important part of the painting. If I get the blocking wrong, generally it's not going to turn out well, and I can't save it. So I spend I would say most of my time. I mean, I don't spend a lot of time doing anything. I like to go fast and see how it goes. And, you know, I will be honest with you, sometimes my paintings don't work at all and they're an absolute disaster. And obviously I don't really post those because, well, maybe I should post those. Maybe I should post the disasters. But anyway, I'm trying to do the background mountain. You can see in the background mountain that I've already kind of clocked that it's got a lot of, well, not a lot, but some like browns in it and stuff. And I thought, okay, that's going to be kind of tricky. You know, that's going to be kind of hard to pull off. So if I see something that's kind of hard to pull off, I just ignore it for a while and go to simplified version. And if I'm going to tackle it, I'll tackle it towards the end. I don't want to interrupt my flow, and I kind of just, keep it simple, 2 or 3 values per big shape, break the shapes down. Now, if there's like color variations within them, that kind of adds a layer of complexity that early on I don't want to deal with, so I don't deal with it. And I just pretend that the complexity does not exist yet. Maybe I'll get to it in the end. I think in this case I kind of try, but the brown in the mountain is kind of optional. And yeah, I mean, is it a deal breaker? Probably not. So let's leave her out for now. So I'm adding texture to these little trees. I'm a little bit messy there, but the most important part is that the texture is vertical. Make sure it is in that direction only, because otherwise it'll seem like the earth is tilted, and you do not want that. So even though it's a little bit messy, we can get away with it. If you want, ultra realism, you're going to have to go a lot more careful than that. But I'm not too bothered. I'm just trying to, in a zoomed out state, does it look correct? Does it look like what I'm trying to achieve? Basically, I'm trying to represent the painting, not replicate the painting, which is a very different thing. But if you want to replicate it, go for it. This took me about 30 minutes, and I'm not saying I'm blasting through it. It's just I'm doing a lot of paintings recently, so it's getting a little bit quicker for me. This is my 9th painting in like a week or two. So, to give you some context. So obviously if you do a lot of paintings, you kind of get a vibe for it to flow, and it goes a little bit quicker. So, if I'd only done one or two, I would be slower. It's just that I've done a lot of paintings recently, and so that kind of speeds it up. I use the smudge tool here or there. One thing you have to realize with the smudge tool, if you use it, it is a kind of a dangerous tool in the wrong hands, and my hands can be wrong also, is that you have to pick a brighter color than you want, because by the time you smudge it, it kind of disappears into the background. Now, I made a mistake here, and I didn't want to fix it because I wanted to highlight it. So I finished this painting, and then I looked at it, and I was like, okay, that'll do. And then I noticed a few mistakes, but I wanted to leave them in to mention them. And my lake shoreline thing is not horizontal, and it's sloping to the left or right, depending on which way you're looking at it. And that is not a good look, really not. And it annoys me, and I almost edited it and edited the footage and fixed it. But then I thought, well, how good is that if I don't leave my mistakes in? You're not going to see. So it's slightly angled. Now, you really don't want to do that. And I'm very annoyed that I didn't, pick that up at the time. It's only a slight angle, but you cannot have the angle with water. It just cannot happen. If you have any angled water, then it's a river or a waterfall, basically. Water only goes flat. So if you're using Procreate or any tool, it doesn't really matter. Use a rectangle and get the rectangle right before you put the lines in. Or, in Procreate, you can hold your 2 fingers down and it'll put it right anyway. A complete rookie mistake by my, by me anyway, and I shouldn't have done it. But but it's fine. We make mistakes like that. And then you look at it in the end and you fix it. So as long as you fix it, it doesn't really matter. But make sure you check these kind of things. There's only a few things you have to worry about, like trees have to be vertical, obviously. And water is a big deal. Water is a big deal that it has to be exactly horizontal, especially the shoreline. So anyway, clearly I have issues with that now because I can't fix it, and it's going to drive me nuts. But the point of these paintings for me is I'm trying to paint 100 landscapes in the same style. This is number 9. So I'll put links in the description, so go check them out if you want to see the other ones. I got a variety of different ones, and I'm trying to push myself to things I don't usually paint. But this is kind of typical for me. I love the trees, the ground. I don't paint lakes very often, actually, but this is only a tiny bit of a lake, so not such a big deal. But I love painting mountains. But if you're painting lakes, the most important part is to get the color of the environment into the lake. So basically, the lake is always going to be a mirror. It is basically a mirror, but it's not that accurate. So it's like a very inaccurate mirror. So it's always darker. So whatever you have, make sure you drop it down a little bit. And it's always kind of fuzzy. So it's like a bad camera or something. So it's like 4080p instead of 4K. So drop the resolution down of the lake. Blur it up with the smudge tool if you're using Procreate, which is a great tool. Much better. I was trying to use the smudge tool. I was messing around with Photoshop earlier, trying to use the smudge tool. Absolutely terrible. They need to deal with that smudge tool because it's not really, well, I mean, it smudges, but not in a nice way. The tools in Procreate are unbelievably good. So I'm not plug-in Procreate. They're not paying me for this. Nobody's paying me for anything. But Procreate is great. It would be awesome if they bring it out on Windows, because I have a nice tablet on Windows. But Photoshop is just, it's not as good as Procreate. As simple as that. And so I'm adding texture to these little trees here. I mean, I think mostly what I'm doing here in the background is self-explanatory. I hope. If it's not, let me know in the comments. Like, what the hell are you doing? But I'm using a technical pen in Procreate. Generally, the only pen I use is the technical pen. It's just a sharp little pen, basically. Hard brush to get hard edges. I know, like, most people use soft brushes, and I understand, and I used to use soft brushes for many, many years. It's because it's easier to not commit to the stroke. But if you use the hard brushes, you kind of gotta like decide, like, yeah, that's what I want to stroke. That's what's gonna happen, and you have to be confident to do that. So try the hard brush and be gentle with your strokes, though. I mean, if you're using Procreate and Apple Pencil, it is very sensitive, and not as sensitive as overly sensitive, sorry, than the Wacom. The Wacom, you get a lot more give in it, and it's a little bit easier to do subtle things. The Apple Pen seems to be like, boom, it's kind of on or off. It's going to be a little bit annoying to me, to be honest. But I've got used to it now, to the fact that if I go back to the Windows tablet, it's too subtle, and everything's kind of wishy-washy. So I was talking about this brown in the mountain earlier, and I thought, okay, let's give it a go. I wasn't confident that was going to go well, and I'm not entirely sure it is, and my pen just died. So pencil. So I stick it on the charge. Luckily, if you use the iPad and the pencil, it charges really quick. So you only need like 30 seconds, and it goes up like 20%, which is awesome. Although it's still 20% anyway, so I don't know what's whinging about. So I managed to get through the painting anyway. Otherwise, I wouldn't be speaking here now, would I? I'd be waiting for it to charge. But I wanted the subtle brown bits, and I didn't want to copy exactly, but I wanted a bit of brown just to imply that we've got some sediment rock or whatever. Maybe if you're into your rocks, you could tell me what it is. But I think it was worth putting that little bit of brown in the background. I try not to put too many colors in things because it starts to get a bit messy then. So, but I think it worked. And now I'm just fiddling. This is just detail, basically. I think I'm at the point where it's just like, is anything going to make a massive difference? Probably not. And I'm just messing around, just making sure that I haven't missed anything too obvious. Like to the right there is like, what were those stupid shapes? Probably not a good idea. So there's nothing major gonna happen now for the next couple of minutes. I put an effect here which I quite like. So I put a big blob. It looks terrible, but we're gonna go to Gaussian blur, and then we're gonna get like this mist effect, which looks cool, and it gives a kind of moody background to it. A little bit different from the reference photo, but don't follow the reference photo exactly how you see. Use your knowledge of all your landscapes that you painted before. And I know for a fact if you make your, well, maybe it isn't a fact, tell me I'm wrong, but if you make your background a bit misty or whatever, you get another layer of depth which wouldn't exist otherwise. It is actually in the reference photo anyway, but it's a lot more subtle. But I thought I'd boost it a little bit. Now I'm just messing around. I know when I start to do this pointless nonsense at the end, it's probably time to give up. I'm not gonna lie. You know, many years ago when I used to start painting all this kind of stuff, I used to spend 30 minutes painting absolute nonsense. Think I can make it better. I can make it better. You know, with 30 minutes I can make it better. And it's like, no, you can't. You know, at some point you just got to call it, and it is what it is. And I'm fiddling. This was probably done like 5 minutes ago, to be honest. So that's about it, though. If you like this one was good fun. I love painting mountains. So if you like this, give me a like and a sub. It helps a lot. Like, you don't understand how much that helps. YouTube, give a shit about me. So that would be cool. And I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget, this is number 9 of 100. So I think it's number 9. Maybe you'll see in the title if it isn't. But yeah, catch me in the next one.